Renowned entrepreneur Robert Indries defies traditional business norms and challenges the notion that physical presence is necessary as he empowers you to manage multiple ventures remotely, revolutionizing the way entrepreneurship is approached.
Welcome to Biz Help for You, the show that saves you the expensive learning curve by providing advice from industry experts in every facet of the entrepreneurial journey. Too many small businesses collapse. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, 20% fail within their first year, and less than 35% make it to their 10th anniversary. The goal of this podcast is to change that statistic. So if you're interested in learning more to be a successful entrepreneur, tune in today.
Let me tell you a little bit about my guest today. Robert was born into a modest family in a very small town in Transylvania, Romania. He spent the first part of his life on farms, caring for livestock and working the land. Traveling gave him an ideal vantage point to observe common mistakes and successes in businesses on a worldwide scale. This mindset has helped him to build an empire of 8 businesses, generating 7 figures yearly, to travel over 100,000 miles, visiting 17 countries, speaking in front of thousands of people in 3 different languages, and to maintain a loving relationship with his gift from God, Diana, and his close family and friends. So, Robert, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Cam.
Well, thank you for being here. I am looking forward to asking you some questions on the topic of managing many businesses remotely. But before I get into questions that I have for you, I'd love for you to share your story and how you became an entrepreneur and started so many businesses.
The multitude of businesses have come from a realization that all businesses operate under the same fundamental principles. Whether you are a restaurant, whether you are a car dealership, whether you are a online professional services business, it does not matter what you are. The fundamentals, business excellence, are the same in every industry. And so, as background, I'm a civil engineer by trade. So I love building things, anything that is technical, hardware, software, doesn't matter. We just build things. One of my companies is an engineering company. We've delivered on over 200 tech projects so far, specifically for businesses, sometimes for government, sometimes for NGOs, but mostly for businesses that want to scale their operations one way or another. They come up with these cool ideas. Let's try this. Let's do this, right? And it's just fantastic to work with ambitious people. And in terms of how I got to do this, I tried to be an employee for quite a few years. And I was already very determined to succeed at whatever I set my mind to. So I would have very, very good results in the companies where I worked. However, I would realize that the HR, or when I say HR, I mean the way they would manage people, right? Like the policies set in place and the culture they had, and so on and so forth, in the companies that I have worked in, did not put emphasis on taking care of their staff, right? So that's the nice way of saying it. Obviously, unofficial way is much, much longer, but I had issues with them and I didn't understand. My engineer brain could not comprehend the things that they were doing. It just was nonsensical to me. Like, for example, in one of the companies, I had 3 months of doing amazing results, and then I wanted a couple weeks off. And they're trying to convince me to not take time off. I'm like, I need time off. What are you talking about? Like, I've been working my little butt off for over 3 months, right? I need some time off. And they're like, no, because we have targets to hit, because this, because that, because the other. I'm like, you have 200 people. Don't tell me your targets depend on me being here, right? And the sad truth is that maybe they were, because at the end of the day, I was pulling the weight of more than 50 people there, right?
Wow.
And which was shocking because I was the youngest person in the company. And I didn't like it. It's like, don't tell me not to take a vacation. You select people better and you fire those that everyone knows that they're not producing anything or they're just wasting everyone's time. Why are you keeping them and telling me to not go on vacation, right? Why are you
Mm-hmm.
running me into the ground, right? And then just allowing other people to linger around uselessly, right, in the org. That's just one example. I have so many, as you can imagine. So that made me go into entrepreneurship to set up my own company and basically, treat everyone fairly. We have had policies like unlimited vacation days, work whenever you want, from wherever you want, right? Many cultural things to treat everyone like an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
So entrepreneurial spirits thrive in my businesses because they can work as much as they want. Whenever they want, they can give it their all, and then they can take 2, 3, 4, 5 week days off, right? They just
Mm-hmm.
take off, and they tell us, obviously, it's very transparent. Everyone knows, no surprises and so on and so forth. But business functions perfectly because everyone does their work, right, when they're working. And so I did that, and slowly but surely my methods worked. And so I just did it again and again and again and again in different sectors where people wanted help. The majority of my businesses, and by the way, right now it's 8. I used to have more, but I've already had successful exits until now. So for example, last year we had a company, the name was Taplio, and people might have heard of it. We launched the company middle of last year. We grew, in 2 months we grew it to a quarter million, 250,000. And then we got the buyout offer. It was an 8-figure buyout offer. So we said, oh, okay, well, might as well call it day at this point, right? And so a very good day. And we said, okay, let's sell this, move on, do other things, and so on. And so
Mm-hmm.
we've had exits until now, quite a few. And typically, the majority of my businesses are ventures together with other people that invite me into the company. Say, hey, I
Mm-hmm.
want to take my business from, I don't know, 500,000 to 1 million or to 2 million or 5 million, whatever it is their goal is. And then they bring me in, give me shares, and then I help them do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I've done that over and over again, and it doesn't matter. One of my businesses is an Airbnb for luggage. Imagine, like,
Uh-huh.
very different than a professional services provider in Florida, right? For example, that business is a marketing agency in Florida. The other one is an Airbnb for luggage in Manchester, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which that one grew to over 70 locations in the UK and over 15 locations in the US and 4 other countries in Europe now, right? So it's just growing because the same fundamental business principles applied to all of these, and keeping the owners accountable. Like, hey, this is what we said we're going to do. Why aren't we doing this? Well, because I found out about this. Did you tell me about it? Right? Like, what didn't we agree we're not going to take decisions alone anymore? Right? Like, what are we doing here? Do you want my help or not? Right? If you don't want my
Mm-hmm.
help, I can take a step back. But if you do want my help and that's why you hired me, then let's actually grow this the way we said we're going to, right? And so mindsets keep you back, or keep people back in general, because they have been used to running business in a certain way. And then I come in and I'm like, yeah, I'm sure this worked. It got you to here, but let's say we're talking about Frank. The Frank that's making $5 million a year is not the same Frank as today. You need to understand that guy thinks differently, acts
Mm-hmm.
differently, uses their time differently. It's not the same person. And if you're not willing to evolve into that person, then you cannot expect yourself to make more, to earn more, to be
Mm-hmm.
more, to give more, right? It's just not going to happen. You have to evolve yourself in order to get there. And so I give people very gentle kicks in the butt, right, when required,
Right.
to go in that direction, to take this leap. And people are scared to take the leap. I'm like, if you're not going to take the leap, you'll get to be 60, 70, 80, and you'll just regret not doing it. That's it. That's all you will have at the end of
Mm-hmm.
this, right? You're never going to say, oh, I'm so happy I didn't take the leap. It's not going to happen.
Right. Right. Well, and there are so many things I was thinking of while you were talking. And one of the things that I would love to ask, though, too, is how do you end up managing multiple remote businesses successfully too? Because someone may be thinking, I'm still trying to move my business to be remote completely in the first place, just one business, let
Mhm.
alone other businesses. And maybe they have ideas of other things that they want to
Mhm.
do. But how do you even start multiple businesses, manage multiple businesses? Or are you looking for businesses that were already running and then, going in to start managing those too?
So typically, when people come to me, they already have a business that's running to a
Hmm.
certain degree, and then I help them take that business to the next level or evolve it however it needs to evolve. And by evolution, I mean, let's say right now you're doing things in a certain way that's keeping you back from either going remote or from achieving the business that you actually want to have, right? And then I just give them sort of courage, like say, no, no, no,
Hmm.
you're not crazy. This is what you have to do. Just, yeah, everyone
Right.
else is not doing this. Yes, okay, everyone
Hmm.
else is poor and fat. Just
Hmm.
don't do what everyone else is doing. Because if you do that, you'll be like everyone else. You'll live
Right.
paycheck to paycheck. You'll be overweight. You'll have a bad relationship at home, etc., etc., etc. Right? This is the norm. So if you want to
Hmm.
be like everyone else, go ahead, do what everyone else
Hmm.
is doing. If you want to, I'm not talking about being better than everyone else from an ego standpoint. I'm
Hmm.
talking about actually getting the life you want, not the life
Right.
everyone else is living, but the specific one you want. If you want to live the specific life you want, you'll have to do things specifically the way that your vision, let's say, aligns with. Because
Hmm.
if your vision doesn't align with you going to the office, then don't go to the office, right?
Hmm.
And then you say, well, if I'm not at the office, something might not work. There is no such thing as something in business. What exactly will not work if you're
Hmm.
not there? And then we look at that exact thing and we say, okay, how do we take this exact thing and say, how can we monitor this at a distance, right? What are
Hmm.
the KPIs within the business that tell us that this is going well or poorly, right? And
Hmm.
then you set your business up that way. Okay. So, for example, look at restaurants. Everyone would think that, if you want a restaurant business, you have to be there, you have to, open up every morning at 7 a.m., you have to clean everything, you have to put the tables, you have to, service people, you have to blah, 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 blah. Okay. Recently, one of my friends went into the restaurant business. I'm like, are you serious? You're going into restaurants? Like, yes, Robert, but we're doing something different. No one can come to our restaurant. I'm
Hmm.
like, what do you mean? Like, all of our food will be order only. You cannot come to the restaurant. You can come pick up if you want to, but you cannot eat at the restaurant. Guess what? They save on bartenders, they save on staff, they save on space, they save on everything. They literally just have kitchens. So they started with one kitchen. I kid you not, it's less than a year later. Now they have nine. Nine. They're thriving. Everyone loves it. Everyone's just ordering their stuff online because now they cut so much costs. Their competitors cannot compete with that because guess what? Their competitors still have a restaurant and catering. They have both. And because they have both, the overhead in the restaurant is so much higher than in
Hmm.
catering, right? And these guys don't have that overhead. You can't come to my restaurant to eat. You can order it and then be on your way, right?
Hmm.
And it just, I loved it. The moment I saw it, like, dude, you nailed it. Well done. Bravo. Hat off, right? Amazing. And so he managed to figure that out. And they now have economies of scale. So at one restaurant, they had, let's say, a profit margin of X, right? Now, because they have nine restaurants, they do all of the bulk cooking in one and then ship it to all of the other locations, right? Which now it's 20% less than X. So now they're even more
Hmm.
profitable, right? They sell more volume and more profit per item sold. It's crazy. So again, same metric. Like how many people do you reach? What's your conversion rate? What's your average order value, right? Again, whether you're a service provider or a product provider, right? Like in a restaurant, you have the same metrics, right? What's your profit margin? How many times do people return, right, to buy from you again and again? So all of those things are the same KPIs in every business. And so if you
Hmm.
focus on those, you in a very specific way, right? You can then make tweaks and improvements month to month. So anyone looking to make themselves remote needs to look at all of the things that make them have to be in a specific location. And then
Mhm.
one by one, not all of them at the same time, one by one remove those, right?
Okay.
So even if you're at that location, you don't need to be there. And that thing, you still get an update on it or something still happens. And then when
Mhm.
you're at the office, looking at the ceiling and say, I don't need, that's it. I really don't need to be here to do what I'm doing right now. Then you can just stop coming, right? Or you
Right.
can come 4 days a week, and then 3 days a week, and 2 days a week, then one, and then none, right?
Right.
So I recommend people take this step by step. If you have a business that's not remote, take it step by step, and then manage it step by step. Don't go all or nothing, because if you do all or nothing, you might be playing a game that you don't know the rules of, right? The rules of the game
Right.
will be showed to you once you do half, right? Or whatever proportions are
Mhm.
okay for you. Because then in those 2 days when you're not there, the fires that will happen in those 2 days. Whether it's 5 days or 2 days, the fires will still happen. And so now you know, oh, so this can happen when I'm not there. Okay, well, let's work on that. How can I avoid that? Or what can I do, basically?
Mhm. Well, and what it sounds like to me, what you're saying though, too, is because you're talking about even like in your restaurant example, someone still has to be there for the food to be able to be picked up or the food to be prepped. So it sounds to me like you're talking more management can be completely remote and figuring out how that can happen where you don't have to be there daily. And some business, obviously, even your staff can be remote. But what would you say to someone who is running a business that is maybe a brick and mortar type of
Yeah.
company as well? And they can't have everyone be remote. They do want to be able to have more remote management. And I know you just talked about like one at a time, but what would you say in terms of still the fears of managing the staff because issues come up? Sometimes people don't come to work because they're sick, and handling all of that if you're not able to be physically present.
So a few things, and I want to be very respectful of everyone listening. You make your own bed sheet. That's a saying,
Mm.
right? So if you are in the brick and mortar business, please understand it is by choice. No one forced you, or maybe they have, but now no one's forcing you to keep that.
Mhm.
Please understand, if you have a brick and mortar business and you like it, and that's what you want to do, you do not need to go remote. Do not give in to the pressure of I have to be remote because everyone's doing it. Again, you don't need to be doing what everyone's doing. What's
Mhm.
your vision, right? If you want, like, let's say you're the owner of a restaurant, but you're also the main chef, right? Well, you love cooking. It's obvious. Like, just cook. Just do it for as long as you can do it, right? Make as much money as you can doing it, and so on and so forth. And then, retire at one point when you don't want to do it anymore, or do something else when you don't want to do it anymore. And so,
Mhm.
if you want to keep doing the chef thing and make more money, then you have two options. Either you make this one location more profitable in however way you can, right? And many times more food is not the answer because that just ruins the food quality, the experience, and so on and so forth. Sometimes the answer is maybe having some type of publicity, having some type of partnership or events when you're normally closed, host an event. I don't know, whatever. Make this one location more profitable, or open more locations. You still work in your one location, and then from time to time you oversee other locations, right? Or let's say you have two
Mhm.
locations. Odd days you are in one location, right? And even days you're in the other location, or whatever, vice versa. Doesn't matter, right? Whatever, like, let's say you have two cooks on staff in both places, and so sooner or later one of those will want a vacation or is out sick. Whatever happens, you then know, do I go to this location or to the other location, right? And then you're still lean, you don't have more overhead than you need, and you're always in one location or the other. If both cooks leave at the location and then one at the other one, then obviously you go to the one where there are no cooks, and then you both struggle for one day, whatever, right?
Mm.
It's the reality of life. Excuse me, right? It's just what it is. the fact that we have businesses that are generating us 7 figures a year, and the remote and so on and so, it doesn't mean that we don't have fires, right? We have had teams where the entire team was off for a week, right? 4 people off the same week. Now, 2 of them were on vacation. One was sick, and one had a family emergency come up. That's it, like something like, I think someone passed away or whatever. None of them could come to work, and that's just how it happened. They agreed that 2 people will be off, 2 people will be on, and then they will switch the week after that. And guess what? Perfect plan. Reality kicked in. One got sick, the other one had a family emergency. That's it. So we had one division, one little part of one of our businesses, but 4 people isn't a small part for a small business, right? It's like 20% of your workforce or whatever. So 20% of the workforce, this one entire division was off for a week. We had to deal with it. Everyone had to pick up slack. Some things had to be moved. Timelines have to shift and so on and so forth. And you just deal with it. You don't act like it's the end of the world. You need to be more mature than that, right? And if you're not more mature than that, then again, you need to work on yourself. Like, how can you be 30, 40, 50 years of age and still get angry? I mean, come on, like, didn't you live life until now? Don't you realize that it's useless, right? Can't you tell that, same things will happen whether you get angry or not? Just stop getting angry. Just, say, okay, this happened. What's the solution? This is the best solution. Let's go. That's it. Just deal with it as it comes, right? And just move on.
Right. Well, and in managing so many companies, there's a lot of focus that has to be on all of these different things, monitoring, employees, hiring, firing, KPIs, all of that. So do you have tips on how to create that structure of monitoring all of these, or how to develop other team members that can assist with this, for those who maybe want to have multiple companies that they're managing?
So the easiest way to keep track of things is if those things are being kept track of automatically, right? So if you have, for example, there's a system called Alvanda, ALVANDA.com, Alvanda. And then in Alvanda, you can basically set up procedures that you want to be done in a certain way. And so once you set up your entire business in Alvanda, when someone starts a task, you can see the exact second when they started the task, and you can see exactly when they finished and exactly how much time it took. So if one of my businesses is on Alvanda and I want to know what Jeff was doing last Wednesday, I can see exactly what he did. All of the tasks, everything, what were the deliverables from that? Like if you have, for example, number of pies you make or whatever, number of croissants you sell, doesn't matter, right? Pies you make, you can see, okay, Jeff made, 100 pies last Wednesday. Croissants that you sell, you can see that Carla sold 50 croissants, right? You can have everything in that system. And that's one system. There are other systems that can help you do these things. Not all of them are as good, but you can use any system that works for you as long as it actually does work for you, right? And so automation helps so much, because then people don't need to report on it. They just do their work day by day, and then it's automatically reported. The second best thing is to have someone accountable for keeping track of these things, right? Like accountability helps a lot. So when we manage a company, we have like a little admin team, an administration team, and then that team sets the KPIs, talks to every person, agrees on the KPIs that everyone needs to report on, and then agrees on daily reporting, weekly reporting, monthly reporting, whatever it is based on what they're working on. And then when you know that, oh, tomorrow at 2 p.m. I need to report on this, it's the dynamic changes, because now you know someone's watching. And even if, so the way we set it up, even if you're not there to have that conversation, they still need to send you the report, all of the numbers, right? And so even if you're not there, you still get to see the report, so they still know someone's watching, and then you're looking at over those. There's no easy way, but once you do put these things in place, then life becomes easier, or easier at least, right, than just to take stabs in the dark and, guessing and hoping things are going well.
Mhm. Well, what would you say to someone who is saying, okay, I've got, one or two, or maybe I'm involved in multiple managing, these businesses, and we still want to scale even more than we're doing now? Like, what
Yeah.
tips would you give regarding that?
So I don't start ventures without partners. I always have a partner, an executive partner in the businesses that I run. So I have a very simple investment philosophy. It has three parts. Number one, does it make the world a better place in any way, shape, or form? For example, if it's a candy shop, I don't want any part of it. Why would I want to poison people, as a business model? I'm not interested, right? If you're into candy, fine, that's fine. You can do it. I'm not going to judge you. Everyone knows it's cancerous. Everyone knows it just does bad. Everyone knows it makes people obese. Everyone knows it's addictive. Blah 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 blah, and you still do it. Sorry, not interested. Be smarter than that, please. Right? That's it. That's all I can say. I'm sorry if I offend anyone listening, but that's just the reality. So that's number one. If it makes the world a better place, I'm interested. If it's not, no. Number two, do I like the people that are managing, right? Like, do I like the people I'm associating myself with? Like, really like them? Like, I could go out to beers with them or whatever, and like enjoy, have a good conversation, so on. And then number three is, can it be profitable from month one, right? Many times. So if it's a new venture, can it make money in month one? And if it's an ongoing venture, is it already profitable? Where is it? I don't want to take on useless debt. I'm financially free. I'm relatively young and I don't need to work anymore, right? We have stocks, we have everything, we have the businesses. I can sell off everything, right, relatively easily, and then not work for the rest of my life. Even with cash that we have on hand, we can live many years, right, very comfortably. So why would I do that to myself? I don't want that. I don't want to go into businesses that create that. So those are my three criteria for doing or engaging in business with someone or starting a new venture. And so if anyone has businesses that they want to scale, they need to understand that someone has to scale that. There needs to be a person there. So if they don't do it, then someone else has to, right? And they can say, well, I want to do it. Okay, since when do you want to do this? I guess, well, for a year now. Have you succeeded? No, you obviously don't know what you're doing. I'm sorry, again, I don't want to offend anyone, but this is reality. If you had a goal of doing X for like a while, and you haven't achieved it, obviously you don't know how to. And this is not being disrespectful. This is just, I'm an engineer. My entire life is zeros and ones, right? It's either true or false, if this then that, right? Easy. Like, I don't have gray area in my life, right? It's either this or that. Many people try to add gray area in my life, like people, partners I work with, but I very quickly pull it out of their lives as well, because people come to me and say, Robert, it's a chicken and egg situation. I'm like, that doesn't exist. First was the egg, because there were no chicken on Earth. There were just lizards. Lizards made eggs. And at one point, one of those eggs turned into a chicken. That's it. End of story. There was the egg and then the chicken. Let's move on from that. And you figure out yourself in the same way. There's no chicken and egg situations, right? Always there's something that precedes something else. That's how the world works. So basically, if you have any situation that you're trying to do for a while and you're not succeeding, you either need to bring someone in to do it for you, or you need to hire a coach or a mentor or someone to then guide you through, tell you the hard things you don't want to know, or maybe just the easy things that you really don't know. There are so many people I talk to even now that do not have a CRM in their business. It's shocking. I can't believe it. So many businesses I'm talking to, they don't have a basic fundamental CRM. I ask them, when's the birthday of your clients? And they have no idea. I'm like, how can you be in business for so many years and you don't know the birthday of your clients? You don't have a record. What do you do? Like, can't you, like, it's just crazy. So basic fundamental things they don't have. So that they would like to have. So the idea is to work with people, either the ones that do it for you or the ones that help you do better. And that's the best advice I can give you. That's what I've done. I've always gone to seminars. I always had coaches, right? Had coaches that would charge $2,000 an hour, right? Which seemed insane to me. Now, I used to charge $2,000 an hour. Now I don't do coaching anymore. I've stopped a little while ago because it's not scalable. It doesn't fit my vision of me doing whatever I want whenever I want. So I don't do it anymore. Sometimes I do go into businesses, but what we do now is if a business comes to us and says, I want to scale, I just allocate a team. Like here's 3 people and then let's scale it, right? I won't tell you what you need to do. I will allocate the people to actually do what needs to be done in your business just to scale it, right? And that's it.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, I know we're running short on time, so I would love to ask, how can listeners connect with you if they have more questions or want to find out what resources you may have for them?
Sure. If they Google my full name, they will 100% find me. I'm relatively easy to find. If they want to speak with me directly, even though I have 4 full-time assistants just managing all of my comms, if they email me at robertindries.com, so my full name.com, and then they mention your name or your show's name or anything like that in the body of the email, I promise to reply personally.
Okay. And do you want to spell that out for those who are listening to make sure that they get that entered in there correctly?
ROBERT, Robert, right? And then it's INDRIES, INDRIES.com.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Robert, for being a guest on my show and talking about your experiences managing multiple businesses remotely. And I'm sure people appreciate your time and talking about this topic.
Thank you so much for having me. I've had a good time and I hope people get value out of it.
Thank you, listeners, for tuning in today. I hope you found this topic interesting and enjoyed the informative discussion. Would you please share my show with those you know and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform? I'd really appreciate your support. If you have any additional questions or comments, be sure to reach out to my guest at any of the links that they shared, or you could send me a message at media@abandp.com. I hope you can join me for my next interview, and remember, you can connect with me on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and my website is abandp.com. This episode is sponsored by Affordable Bookkeeping and Payroll Services. If you are overwhelmed trying to handle the financial aspects of your business, ABandP is here to help. Contact us today to discuss your needs at 310-534-5577 or contact@abandp.com. My team and I are eager to assist you. Until next time, have a great day.
Thank you for listening to Biz Help for You. Please join your host, Candy Messer, again next time. Have a terrific day.